Hello, everyone. You have your favorite three people here talking about the Des Moines Metro Market update from Team IRG. And this covers December 2023 and essentially it covers all of 2023 in essence. So, my name is Junior Ibarra, a team leader with Team IRG. And alongside me, we also have, we'll go here, Mr. A at the top.
I'm Anthony Simon, one of the agents on Team IRG. And lastly,
I'm Ryan Cahoy, Director of Operations for Team IRG.
Let's go. Let's get right into it, Anthony.
yeah, I feel like I missed out on the stocking cap memo though.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
you
should
did.
have
It's
totally
cold,
grabbed one.
man. It's
Cold
cold.
enough.
All right, we're going to into the median sale price. Actually, saw a little bit of an uptick. Again, we tend to year over year, we tend to see that flatten out in December. We saw a little bit of an uptick this year. And again, looking at the peak of pricing for the 320, we haven't really fallen off that much. So it was relatively flat and just kind of steady year. And looking at total median price for 2023, that ended up at 310,000 compared to 2022's 300,000. So that puts us at right at about a 3% increase in pricing year over year from 2022 to 2023, even with the interest rates doing what they did this last year.
That's
Oh,
kind of normal for most real estate markets, is that 3 to 5% year over year, which is good to see that our economy still shows stability in regards to that being the case. And it also shows that against popular social media belief that prices are going to tank. You'll see here shortly that the real estate market has shifted. It's just not pricing wise, and we don't foresee pricing in our professional predictions falling, especially everything is hyper local. Right? And here in the Des Moines market, as you can see here, we still had a 3% increase year over year, which is way better than what we were seeing in 2022 and 2021, 11 and 15% increases. That's just
crazy.
not sustainable. 3% increase is 3 to 5 to 6%. That's more sustainable. But yeah, it's kind of good to see that be a staple, and maybe we continue to see a little bit more of that stability. Because again, if we get into double digit increases, again, not sustainable. Ryan, anything else to add to that?
No, I think, like you said, this normalization of this year over year increase, I think we're going to see it again next year. So, like you said, it's kind of stabilized here. That wacky 11, 15% increase year over year, that hurt everyone.
Yeah. And my one caveat that I forgot to shout out at the beginning of the slide is this is looking at the Metro core, so the Des Moines and the surrounding suburbs that we consider to be the Des Moines Metro, and we're looking at single family housing only. So this is not taking into consideration townhouses or any rental properties or anything like that. This is just single family houses in the Metro core. All right, so days on market, again, not we had things slow down just a little bit. Things once again, seasonality in Des Moines. Nobody wants to go out in winter typically. We have Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's that have all kind of pushed into this last 6 weeks, essentially, of the year. Things just slow down. 18 days, realistically speaking, is still very fast.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's still a seller's market. And ultimately, there's the inventory is what's keeping pricing stable. And it shows that we still have a shortage of inventory in a lot of different price points and on a lot of different neighborhoods. So that's good in the sense of it just keeping things stable. And it's good for sellers as long as you're pricing strategically. As I always like to say, 80% of market or of marketing is pricing strategically from the get-go. There's a theory that I've heard that I like in essence that states that you can totally overprice a listing. You can totally overprice a listing, and then time on the market truly hurts you. Yet if for some reason you underprice it, the market and the buyer pool will correct itself as long as you're doing all the right things to market the house properly. The other remaining 20% of activities of being proactive in marketing and taking a proactive approach to marketing, then the market will correct itself. The pricing will correct itself because if it's priced too low, a lot of buyers will want it because they're like, whoa, this is priced really well. And then they'll push the pricing themselves. And at that point, you also create a psychological competition where sometimes they even compete at the highest level and pay more than what the market is truly saying that it's worth. Again, different tactics, which is why, again, always encourage talking to a professional to see what is the best situation for yourself and your situation going into the selling of the house and moving into the next home or relocating or whatever that looks like for you.
Yes, sir. All right. Our house is sold. 483, kind of rounding out December, which puts the year total at 7438, which is 82% of last year. Again, that's not surprising because we've been tracking right around that kind of 80 to 85% pretty much all year. We ended at 82% of last year's kind of houses sold. Again, things are just slower this year. That's just kind of where we've been at.
Yeah, it's so officially 18% less units sold for single family homes in Des Moines proper and surrounding suburbs. So if I remember right, Anthony, you said you do a 14 or 15-mile radius, right, of Des Moines core that touches all the main suburbs.
Yeah, it's 14.5 is what I pull these from.
Yes, there we go. And with that, it kind of shows here how 77,438 units sold, which is less than the last 5 years. So that's our
Wow.
real state shift, right?
Yeah, for sure. What do you say, Junior? Every 7 to 10 years, you always see that shift happen. Whether it's in this case, it's kind of that inventory shift. So obviously, you can see that happening right in front of our eyes here.
Yeah, a lot of it, being feet on the ground, always getting in front of it's what we saw a lot of is the first time home buyer, the entry level price point hasn't been really affected a whole lot just because there's always that dream of owning a home. The American dream is always alive and kicking. Yet the move up buyer is now a little bit less incentivized to move, you could call it, because they're locked in. Like, what is it? I always forget the statistic, but
Oh,
it's upwards of
it's some
80%.
large percent, yeah, that have an interest rate of
80%.
4%.
Yeah,
I
it's
think it's
80
9 have 4% or less.
that owned a home. Anyone who owns a home and before 2022 essentially has locked in or refinanced a rate lower than 4%. So when the interest rate hit this year, like this in 2023, they got as high as 8%. So when you locked in a 2.5, 3% loan, you're essentially saying, I don't want to double or triple my rate. And so
Just to pay interest.
yeah. So we saw a lot of less units being put on the market, which also created some issues there. And we also saw a different slide I believe shows this, or previous episodes have showed that 80% of the market was below 400,000 essentially. So that move up buyer, there's a pent up demand there. Yet we do foresee. I'd be curious to see, now that things are stable and interest rate may move up or down or move up or below 6%, how once that gap starts decreasing, life is still happening, meaning the kids are still growing or people are still getting married or houses or some are ready to downsize. So when's that margin
That tipping
between
point.
that
It's that
tipping
tipping
point?
point. When
Yeah.
does everyone start making that decision? We're like, okay, it's never going to be 4 again. I'm going to make decisions now.
Yeah. So that's where I'd be curious to see. Yeah, Anthony, I'm curious to know what you have up until 2018. Do you have any more data in regards to units closed over the history of the Des Moines core? And is 7,400, is that the lowest we've had in a long time, or do you just have up until 2018?
So I have a couple extra years prior to that. However, our system only goes back 5 years from current date. So I only have a couple additional years on top of that, but it is the lowest that I have record of. And just to kind of put it in perspective too, so we can see all that are on the left side for year to date. Those are yearly totals now, January through December. The 5 year average, so the average of all the others there from 2022 to 2018 is just over 9,500 at 7438. That puts us at a 78% of, so even slightly lower of that 5 year average than what we saw last year. Last year we started seeing the slowdown because rates started, what was it, April is when they really started making moves, and then June they were what we consider high. They were very high for that time. So half the year last year just was like a light switch flipped. People just kind of stopped buying houses for a little bit there, or just slowed way down. And yeah, so we're slowly eking that back out, but still down. And this has been the slowest year in Des Moines in a long time.
Yeah, so then that puts us and the 5-year average, so 22% down compared to the 5-year average. So the shift, that's what my in the real estate circles and masterminds we're in, the shift has happened or is happening in the sense of less units sold. Not necessarily the shift isn't always pricing related, where it's like pricing goes down by 10 or 20%. We saw in 2008. In this case, unit count went down by 18 to 22% for our market. So that's the shift. This year, with interest rates, at least as of recent, have been way more stable than the volatility of the week over week that we saw this last spring. And again, I think we'll get to a slide at the end of what our predictions are for 2024. Yet we're already seeing quite a bit of an uptick on online activity here, kicking off the new year, even though the winter has hit us, snowmageddon, a couple of times.
Yeah.
As of recent, we're seeing quite a bit of an uptick in activity, more so than the last few years in January, which is interesting to see. That usually is an indicator of what's to come. So we'll see what happens.
All right, new listings. I'm going to flip back a little bit. So we saw our houses sold really didn't fall off a ton, slowed down. Again, there's a lot of holidays kind of in that November, December timeframe into January. New listings, again, not really surprisingly, also slows down. Nobody wants to list their house right before Christmas, right before New Year's, right when it starts to get really cold and snowy. We were holding steady enough, but we did definitely see the very typical drop in new listings hitting the market.
Yeah. And then you start
Um,
to really see that uptick February to March. You see that big swing up in most years. It's interesting. Again, feet on day to day, feet on the ground with our team and our 25-person team. We literally have gotten a lot of new listings signed, ready to list come March, not next week. Like there's a lot of sellers that have already signed listing agreements that want to wait till springtime. Everyone kind of has that psychological thing in their heads of wanting to list come spring and look to start buying too. And I think it's a lot of winters here. There's call it what it is. Winter is here. Yeah, so it's interesting to see that. Yes, we see that dip in December, and then come January, we a little bit of an uptick. February into March is like boom. So
yeah, you can have those nice days. The last time when my wife and I moved this last time a few years ago, I think we closed on Valentine's Day, so in February, and we moved and it was like 70 degrees. Somehow we got lucky and it was 70 degrees in February.
yeah,
So it
What's the
can
saying?
happen.
Wait 5 days. If you don't like the weather in Iowa, wait 5 days or something like
Yeah.
that.
so true.
All right. So we saw number of houses sold slowed down a little bit, but not crazy amount. New listings slowed down a decent amount here. So this is where we're going to kind of see all those kind of the culmination of those with active listings on the market. So we've been slowly building back some inventory, and then we have 1 month where new listings there's just way less. Right? Buying didn't slow down a ton, but new active listings did slow down a ton. So inventory did take a little bit of a dip this last month in December, and most of it was in that resale market. If you do watch these over month, I kind of keep track of again these new construction versus resale. From November to December was a 3% swing in new construction's favor. So there's 3% less resale homes versus November in December. And again, that could just I believe that's just because there's way less listing. Nobody's moving in December. People are still building houses and they still want to get those sold. They don't care if it's Christmas, it's an empty house. But if somebody's in the home, we tend to see that slow down a little bit.
Yeah. No, and it's again, I was curious to see if the 2023 green line would ever get above the 2022 line. We doesn't look like we ever passed it. We're
Not
still
quite.
just active listings is still just low overall. So it'd be interesting to see what 2024 brings as we head right into it. If we see, I'd like to see more active listings just to make the market a little bit healthier. If you can see 2021 and 2020 and 19 and 18 or whatnot, we're typically above 3,000 active listings during April through September, essentially. And we last couple years we're dipping below 2,000 during those months. And so just having more options for the buyers is typically good overall. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens. I know little by little, the builders are pivoting and getting into just different options for the home buyer. And also, construction costs obviously play a big factor into that. And those are still going up or have been going up over the last couple of years. So trying to keep affordability top of mind has been a little bit of a challenge, yet the builders are pivoting, and also even local incentives for first time home buyers. We're starting to see a lot more of that through some organizations. We're blessed we're in Des Moines, Iowa, because they do a really great job out there. If you ever curious about what those programs are that a lot of first time home buyers do have access to, please feel free to reach out. And then the move up buyers, again, just builders are shifting with this market and providing new solution, even some builders offering interest rate incentives, right, to help with the different options that are out there. So again, so many options to discuss. It just has to, we always have to sit down with ours and look at their situation globally and provide a ton of information so that they can make informative decisions. Is the way I like to put it. Empower them with so much information that they haven't and they can make informative decisions. I don't know if there's any other 2 cents on y'all's end, Ryan or Anthony, on how we approach that.
No, I think, like you said, there's just so many. I guess we're engineers. We're all engineers at heart. There's so many variables that go into a decision, and you just can't base it off one of those, right? You have to, like you say, you got to see the global view of right now and what does 5 years from now look like, and propagate this out for 5 years and see if this is the decision you want to make. So I think that's a lot of people have that face value. Interest rates are high, but what if pricing goes up over 3 years and all these other variables that you're not really taking into account to actually make a decision that's the best for you?
Yeah. For example, one scenario, say a what if scenario, if you're right now have a one of those interest rates locked in at 4% and you're like, oh, you don't know what? I want to sell. I want to wait for interest rates to drop before I sell and then buy my next home. If they do drop, guess what happens with pricing? It goes up.
It went up
Everybody else has
3%
been
this
waiting,
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
So
everybody else is waiting too.
there's a situation that, like, if you have a $300,000 home and you're like, I want to wait till interest rates go down to move. What if pricing goes up 5%? Well, you'll benefit from that on the $300,000 sale. If pricing goes up by 5%, then you'll benefit $15,000 in that uptick. Yeah. What if your move up home is 600,000? Now you're having to pay $30,000 more for that $600,000 home. So now you start immediately with a negative $15,000 if you're just looking at the principal in that equation. And so what would it take from an interest rate perspective on your payback period, having to pay $15,000 more just on that scenario alone, even if you're saving on the interest rate? So
Over the course of 30 years, 15 grand.
yeah. Again, I don't know. We'd have to make a really awesome calculator.
Anthony, can you create that real quick for us? Thank
I'm
you.
sure there's some online we could find, but yeah,
Again, there's always all these what if scenarios, and that's just interest rate and pricing. Yeah. What about your cash flow perspective? I don't know how many times this year we looked at it from that angle. Oh, look at all this equity that you have. And sell your $350,000 home. And yeah, you can still move up to your 400 and 425 home, because if you take that equity and consolidate a lot of this debt, you come up cash flow positive big time. Instead of putting all that money down towards your house as a down payment, why don't not consolidate maybe whatever it is, furniture, car debt, or whatever? And from a cash flow perspective, you'll come out winning big time and maybe put a little bit less down on your next home, just and being even at a higher interest rate, you come out a net positive from a cash flow perspective. So there's so many ways to look at this, and that's why talking to all the professionals and the resources and being informed of what all your options are, and sometimes your best option is to stay in the home and not sell it, and that's okay
That's
too.
true.
And so that's where we love sitting down and providing education, because we're in this, no matter what shift we're in this for, we're here forever, right? We're not going anywhere, and we want to be your provider of choice when it comes to education and empowering you with real estate information.
All right. Before we go on to 2024, let's do one kind of recap from 2023. What's the standout thing for 2023 for you, Ryan?
Oof. Man, it was a hard year. And I think with the interest rate volatility and not knowing kind of where it was going, I think that was the big thing. And now, I guess we're saying 2023, but now I feel like we're getting to a place where a lot of time has passed since that. We're acclimating to new interest rates. We're starting to make decisions again based on what we need, like what someone needs. Hey, I want to move because I need more space. We're actually able to maybe make those decisions easier than we did in the beginning of 2023.
And it's been long enough. It could just not be, hey, we had a kid. We had 2 kids since we've been
Yeah,
thinking about this. We
true.
need a bigger
Yeah, for
place.
sure. It's been a while. So
Junior,
Yeah.
what's kind of your takeaway from 2023?
Man, 20 again, like what Ryan said, it was hard in the sense of so many things changing in the industry as a whole, not only just interest rates, technology is changing, the way houses are marketing are marketed is changing. The investment in the 5 ways you do marketing, or how I like to call it, warm outreach, cold outreach, content creation, ad spend, and affiliate relationships. All of that is evolving because of technology. And so we've changed, Ryan, the way we do business now is totally different than what we did business 13 months ago.
oh yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
yeah, so just seeing that come into fruition and being able to pivot with our teammates, having Anthony on our team and his ideas he brings, like just 2 weeks ago, he brought a new idea to Ryan and they created a new app for it. And just all the collaboration of the people, the I'm just proud of the people on our team. That's at the end of the day, who you share your heartbeats with, the people you, whether it's in your own household, your own family, or the people at work, that's the true power. And I guess just all the challenges that 2023 brought, just we're very blessed. I could say that I'm very blessed to have the people around me here at the office every single day in and day out to provide their superpowers and combine them all together with all of our superpowers to continue to build that culture we want to build within the team, and then hence turn around and provide that culture to our community and our client base. So it was a challenging year that I'm very proud that we all are still here standing strong,
Yeah.
and looking forward to what 2024 brings.
Yeah.
What about
I
you,
mean, most
Anthony?
definitely. You guys have said it all. 2023 was like the year of variability. There was so much changing that the board just doesn't see even. They see the interest rates, they see pricing, they see inventory. And besides rates, pricing didn't really change a ton. Inventory was still super low. Rates were super variable. And that that sucked. It just sucked for everybody because and the rate of change was insane. But yeah, we stayed as a team, we stayed consistent. I know personally, I helped some good friends of mine get into their first homes, people relocating to Des Moines, all the fun stuff. And supposedly this is the worst year in real estate in a long time. So if I can make it through this, then I guess yeah, we can make it through just about anything. So I'm looking for that upward swing in 2024. So with that, what are our thoughts on 2024? What's coming down the pipeline in the next 12 months?
Yeah, only the big guy upstairs truly knows. Yet we can all have our professional predictions. Yet I see 2024 being more units than last year as far as sales goes, because we've gone through the roller coaster stuff. And as long as things stay stable, not discounting what could happen with the war and all the other stuff happening out there, and prayers that anyone that's in that world. Yet I see, as long as like the interest rates do stay stable right now where they're floating. I don't know. I think they're in that between 5.75 to 6.5, depending on the what's out there, and that stability. I think we'll do more sales in 2024, and then who knows with the election year coming up, what 2025 brings. Yet I think this year will just be we'll see a really great market come spring with a lot of activity, and then we'll see as we get closer to the election at the end of the year what happens there. Yeah, that's my prediction. I'm curious to hear what y'all's are.
Anthony, you want to go? Or you want me to go?
I'll go. And I've had this conversation a few times here recently. I think, like Junior said, there is a lot of that pent up demand for people in houses that want to move for one reason or another. It's not they don't have to relocate for a job. They don't have to move, but man, they really want to, and man, they've wanted to now for probably almost 2 years at some of them. With rates slowly coming down, if we, yeah, what that tipping point is, who knows? But at some point there's that benefit analysis crossover where they're like, we just don't care anymore. It's low enough we're going to move. And I think once that starts happening, and I think that will this year, we're going to start seeing the market pick up a little bit here in Des Moines. We'll see more listings, thankfully, because those people are in houses, and then they're going to just spur on more buying as well. It's great for us. It's great for them because they get the new house that they want. It's great for first time buyers because it opens up more inventory in that first time buyer market typically. So I think, yeah, 2024, I think is going to be an upswing from 2023.
About you, Ryan?
I'm hoping we're on the fifth stage of the five stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression. Now we're in the acceptance phase for 2024. So I think we've gone through those, I feel like, in the last 2 years. So I'm hoping we're in that acceptance phase and now we can all move on with our lives and kind of get a more normalcy, or Junior, I forget what you said, more stability right into 2024. That's my prediction.
Stability
All right.
2024. Let's go.
All right. So once again, we are Team IRG. We're always here to help. Ultimately, we're here to provide, to empower you with knowledge so you can make informed decisions. That is our goal always. Anything real estate's hyper local. We're here in Des Moines. We know the ins and outs of everything Des Moines.
Yes, indeed. Here to serve, here to help, here to empower you with information. Give us a call. Everything is so unique to the individual and to the neighborhood, to even the block you're on. Feel free to reach out to us, even if it's just a simple question over the phone. We're here to help. So thank you for giving us the
For sure.
opportunity for 2023 to serve our communities. We helped, I don't know the official, but it was above 280 families that we helped serve in our community. And we hope to continue to serve our community in 2024 and here to help. Talk to you soon. See you later.